Kaleido is one of the prettiest insulin pumps I have ever seen. It's a small and colorful automated insulin pump that works with the Dexcom G6 continuous glucose monitor to automate insulin. The pump can be worn similarly to the Tandem Mobi, either in your pocket or adhered to the body with a short tube and infusion site right next to it. Currently, the pump is only available in Germany, France, and the Netherlands, but it just received CE mark in Europe and is expected to release in more areas soon. I met a Kaleido user from Germany a few months ago and I fell in love with the pump and her, and I knew she had to come on to talk about it. Welcome to the show. I'm Justin. I have type 1 diabetes, and on here I talk all things diabetes tech, news, and management with educators, tech leaders, and those thriving with diabetes and using the tech themselves. Episodes of this podcast release every Monday on YouTube and podcast platforms, and I've got YouTube videos on Fridays where I talk about my own experience with the tech and talk about upcoming tech as well. Today on the show, we have Nina Joakim, who you may know from social media as Diabetech Nina. She has used Kaleido for just over 3 months now. Her and I get into her 17 years on Medtronic, her trials using other AID pumps, and why she landed on Kaleido. Then her and I dive deep into the details on the Kaleido algorithm, whether it be the ability to log high-fat meals or the option to log different workout intensities. Also, we've got a 2025 podcast survey. I would love to hear from you. How can we improve the podcast? What should we talk about it? What do you like about the format? What could we do better? That survey is in the description. Please fill it out. It would mean so much. And keep in mind that anything you hear on this podcast or content on my social media or any of my pages is not medical advice and is for educational purposes only. Always consult with a physician before making changes to your healthcare. Nina, welcome to the show. It's so great to have you here. I think we just met or we got to know each other even better at EASD a few months ago. And the pump that was on your arm caught my eyes because it was pink. I'm glad you're here and I'm excited to talk about it.
I'm also very excited and I'm glad to be here too.
Before we get into Kaleido, I want to hear a little bit about your diagnosis or kind of your path to where you got to today. Can you tell us a little bit about when you were diagnosed and kind of, that journey a little bit?
Yes. So in 2007, I got diagnosed. At this point, I was 7 years old, and then I turned 8 in the hospital. I think I got an insulin pump half a year later or so. And so I'm using a pump for 17 years now. And at the moment, I'm using the Kaleido for, 3 months, I guess.
How did it feel when you were, a month after diagnosis, given an insulin pump? How did that feel? Were you excited about it? Were you embarrassed by it? What were those emotions?
I think I was a little bit afraid, but also a little bit happy because the doctors told me, okay, so you don't have to inject yourself multiple times a day because you have this gadget. And then I was like, okay, great, we're gonna try it, and it turned out really good. So I'm really glad that the doctors talked me into it, and my parents also said, yeah, that would be a great opportunity. So I did it.
And what was the first pump you had?
I think it was Medtronic Vio or something. And it was purple as well.
What about continuous glucose monitoring? When did you first get a CGM?
I think it was 2016 or something, or 17.
Okay.
So 10 years was finger pricking and stuff like that. And I
How did
think,
that change things?
yeah, it changed a lot because I was working in a job where my hands got dirty the whole day. So I always had to go to the toilet and wash my hands, and it was really annoying. And sometimes I was just like, okay, no, I'm not gonna do it. So I did not check my blood sugar because I was too lazy. And this changed a lot because I only had to scan my sensor, and then I got my glucose levels. Yeah.
What CGM was this?
It was the Freestyle Libre 1. Yeah.
When you first got CGM, besides the ability to use it at work, was there a sense of relief, or how did that just play into your day-to-day while managing diabetes?
Yes, it was a relief. I got a lot of quality of life back, and it was just easier to handle. So
And so you used Medtronic for, I think you said 17 years. What was it about Medtronic that you just continued on that path for so long?
I think I just haven't had the knowledge I have today that there are many other options on the market. And it was always my doctors or my diabetes nurse who told me, okay, you can get this pump and that one. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go with Medtronic because it worked in the past, so it will work in the future as well.
Wow. Was there anything specific about Medtronic that you like more? Having moved away from it, is there anything about Medtronic that you miss?
Yes, I miss the opportunity to choose between the infusion sets because Medtronic has a lot and Kaleido, for example, doesn't. So that's something I miss. Yes.
Well, we'll get into Kaleido's infusion sets, but how did you use Medtronic infusion sets differently? Like, were there certain times you'd use one over the other, or you just liked that they had the one that you enjoy using?
Um, I had the opportunity to change in between. Like sometimes I use the steel cannulas and sometimes I use soft cannulas, and yeah, it was just nice to choose.
Why do you leave? Why do you switch?
Um, I think it's not a secret that Medtronic is the pumps are very big and heavy, like a it's like a rock. When I don't know if I was wearing it on my pants or something, like the pump was so heavy that my pants got loose, and yeah, I was like, okay, now the pump I think is on the market for 10 years and it's always the same design and they haven't improved. So I thought it was time for a little change.
Yeah, I think that the bulkiness of the pump feels a little outdated. I'm surprised they haven't, in the last however many iterations, they haven't really improved or changed the size. I know that they are working on the Series 8, which is much smaller, thinner, kind of looks like a vape pen.
Yeah.
I have put out some videos on YouTube and social, which everyone should check out. I'll throw one in the show notes of this so you can see it. You told me that you had used a few systems in between Medtronic and getting to Kaleido, that you tested out a few. One of those was Omnipod 5. How long did you test that out, and how did that go?
So unfortunately it did not go well. It yeah, I don't know why, but normally I think it was 6 weeks and I had to stop the testing phase after 2 weeks because it just did not work. It didn't work out. Like I was high the whole night for these 2 weeks, so I haven't slept the whole night in these 2 weeks. And then I was like, okay, no, that's not it.
Was there anything that you liked about it besides obviously being high too long, which, couldn't be comfortable?
And yes, I really liked like the changing of the pod. It just goes so fast. Like you don't have to think of 10 things. You just have to do, I don't know, I think it's 3
Oh,
steps or
it's so
something.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we at EASD, we made that video of you doing a site change and me doing a site change. And that's actually, that video is going to be releasing alongside this so people can go watch it. Um, but yeah, it was just so funny to see like your pile of trash that you had to throw out, but also just all the components that were needed compared to my one little package. Like if Omnipod's doing something right, it's this like nice little simple package, and for packing it is so much easier. So I know you also tried out CAM APS FX. This algorithm is cleared in the US, but there's currently no pump in the US for it. It's presumed that Ipsomed would be coming here and be that pump manufacturer to use that algorithm. What would you use this system for about 2 to 3 months, right? Like what was that experience like, and why did you cut it short after that time?
So my experience was really good. Like with Chem APS, my time in range was, I think, 80 to 90% all the time. So really, really great with no effort. I did not put any effort in it. It just did it by itself. The pump is really small, the Ipso pump, and also the insulin vials are like the size so that it fits in the pump, so you don't have to fill it up. It you can just buy it in the size for the pump. So that's really nice. And also you can choose between soft and steel cannulas, which is cool to have the opportunity. But I had a lot of problems in the past with infusion sets, so with inflamed sites and stuff like that. And I had the same problem with the cannulas from the Upso pump. So I decided to not go with Upso pump because of the infusion sets.
Yeah, it's such a shame that the infusion set would be kind of the reason you or someone else doesn't go with the pump that works for them, because it is such a, I mean, there's a lot to it, I'm sure, but it is a simple piece of the equation. And I just wish that these companies would be able to support, multiple options so that you could get the much more important part of, the algorithm, the pump, get the one that works well for you.
This episode is sponsored by Omnipod. So far this year, I've taken about 15 flights, so I know a thing or two when it comes to packing for type 1 diabetes. One thing I love about Omnipod 5 is that all the supplies come in one small convenient package. No additional packages to remember for tubing or infusion sets, which helps me travel with confidence and ease. See if you're eligible for a 10-day trial by visiting omnipod.com/diabetech. On there, you'll see full safety and risk information and trial terms. Again, that's omnipod.com/diabetech.
What made you consider Kaleido next?
In January this year, I first saw the Kaleido on Instagram, I think. And I was like, okay, it looks really cool. And then I just Googled and searched up, and then I think it released this year. So it's on the German market for a year or something now. Yeah, then I was like, okay, I'm gonna talk to my doctor about it. And she said, okay, if you want that pump, we can do that for you. And I think it was in March or April when I decided to go with Kaleido.
Kaleido is perhaps the prettiest pump I've ever seen. It is so cool looking. It's shiny. There it is. It's shiny. It is colorful. Can you kind of tell me about when you were deciding which one to get? There are so many color options. Tell us about all the color options and kind of how it works with selecting your package, I guess.
So there's 10 color schemes which you can choose in between. And you always have like 2 colors which are just part of the package. So you can't say, okay, I want purple and pink, because that's not possible. But I wanted purple so bad, and that's why I choose purple and silver. And for example, there's also silver and black, or blue and turquoise, and yeah, really pretty combinations. And it was a hard decision, but I'm very happy with my color decision. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised you can't just choose like any 2 colors. You're stuck with, the color sets. But I mean, there's still so many options, and I'm sure really the hardest part is just choosing which one you want. Because I like what I like about what you chose is the pink one is this flashy one that you can dress up, with fun outfits. And then the silver one, while it's still shiny, it can blend in a little more. It's a little more, it's easier to match with clothes, I'm sure. When you're putting this on, do you consider, all right, well, this weekend I'm going to this party and I'm going to wear this outfit, so let me wear pink or purple, like do you kind of does that play a role?
Yes, sometimes, and also like if I'm planning my posts for Instagram, and then I'm like, okay, no, the purple one doesn't fit in my feet. I'm gonna go with the silver one. It's so yeah. Sometimes I choose like this. Yeah.
Tell us a little about how you can wear this. So right now, tell us about kind of how you're wearing it now, but the other ways that it can be worn.
Yeah, so right now I'm wearing the short tubing, so it's 5 centimeters. But you can also choose between 5 centimeters and 30 centimeter tubing. So you don't have to use it as a patch pump. You can also use it as a normal tubing pump or tube pump. Um, but you can also like wear the or use the longer tubing and stuck it on your skin as well. So a patch pump with a longer tubing, and that's also pretty cool because so you have a lot more options. And that was also one aspect why I choose the Kaleido.
Yeah, so right now you're wearing it on your arm. You have the pump adhered to your arm, and then like right next to it, the infusion set.
Yes.
Where are some other areas that you're wearing it, and are you wearing like different tubing for those areas?
Yes, on my belly, I like to choose the longer tubing so that I can just put it in my pockets. And sometimes it depends on which trousers I'm wearing. So sometimes I also choose like to put it on my belly or on my upper legs. That works also pretty well, and sometimes on my hips on the back. And then I also like to choose the longer tubing and stuck it on my belly in front, and the infusion set on the back.
What I really like about this pump is the way it adheres to the body. It has one piece of Velcro-y tape that adheres to a piece that's on your skin and stays there, and it's so clean looking. Whereas you have the Tandem Mobi here in the US, I believe, I mean, it's releasing other places, and the Tandem Mobi's contraption that holds it on has like some sort of sleeve that kind of, I don't think it's the prettiest sleeve. It's pretty medical looking. I think Mobi could really benefit to having a similar look or a similar mechanic to adhering this. How does that Velcro attachment work for you? Does it stay on well? Are there moments where it doesn't? Kind of how do you navigate that?
And so I think in a normal daily basis, it works pretty well. But in summer when I was sweating a lot, or when I went swimming, it did not like stay on. And so this one here on the pump um stays on pretty well, but this one on the skin like not. It's not it.
Okay.
And the Velcro itself fits pretty well. And I think the cool part is that if you like, I don't know, if you're just ripping it off, you can just put it back on and you don't have to change the whole setup like it's with Omnipod.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this is whereas with Omnipod, right? If my adhesive stops working, if the pod starts coming off, that pod's got to come off. There's no going back. But whereas if your adhesive patch on your arm starts coming off, you could just put on a new one,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And you get a package. There are 10 out of like 10 of these and 10 of these in every package you get. So it's pretty nice. You can just change it if it doesn't stay on.
But so it sounds like 10, if you get 10, that means, 3 days times 10, that's 30 days for a month. So you don't get any extras, any backups included.
No. And I think that's like, it's annoying because it's not my fault that the adhesive doesn't like work well. So yeah, you have to pay it out of your own pocket if you.
Do you know how much it is?
I think it was 3 packages for 50 euros.
That's a lot of money for something that's very simple.
It is. Yes.
Okay, well, maybe Kaleido can work on their pricing there, because that's a lot of money, and especially as with the U.S. dollar, it's probably like $55. So,
Yeah.
But this isn't available in the U.S. yet. So let's get into site changes. Take me into the different pieces that you're using and kind of how that works.
Okay. I can show it. So here is the reservoir with the tubing, and it comes with like the longer or the shorter tubing. So then you have the piece where you put the insulin in first, and then the needle. It's an extra part. And here is the infusion set and the applicator, which I really like because it's not as loud as the other ones I had before, and it's really smooth, so it does not hurt putting it on. That's what I
Is the
really like.
applicator reusable?
Yes. And here is the charger for my pump.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about that.
You just like it's an USB, and you just like clip the pump in it, and then it charges. I think it takes 2 to 3 hours until it's fully charged, which is pretty cool because you get 2 pumps. So one you can charge and the other one you're wearing.
Yeah, and if you're going on a weekend vacation, you don't even need to bring the charger. You could just bring, your backup pump, then you have the extra 3 days, you've got the one you're wearing then, and
Yes.
you should be good.
And also like the battery is not empty after the 3 days of wearing. So I think you could use it for 5 days or something until it's empty. Yes. So I think that's all of my pieces. And of course the adhesive, but I don't have it here, so.
Let's get into the algorithm a little bit. Can you kind of just tell us a little bit about your experience so far using it? How has it done keeping your glucose levels in check?
I think it works pretty well. My time in range is between 17 and 85%. So CAM APS was a little bit better for me personally. But I think everything over 17% is pretty good. And I really got a lot of quality of life back. So I don't have to worry every day about my blood sugar because I know, okay, I can trust the algorithm. It just manages my blood glucose for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and what are you using alongside it, right? You have a PDM that is used with it. Can you tell us a little bit about, I guess, what you're doing with that?
So you just do everything with your PDM because the pump itself does not have any buttons on it. You can put your meals in it, and you can also, which is pretty cool, plan your meals. So if you say, okay, I'm gonna eat in half an hour or in 1 hour, you can just type it in and then the algorithm will take care of it. And same with sports. So if you're exercising, the best is to tell the pump 1 or 2 hours before, and then it will just manage. Choose between low, moderate, and intense exercise. which is also pretty cool because like if you're doing, I don't know, 3 sports, maybe hiking or biking or football or something like that, and then you can choose between moderate and high and low.
Yeah, that's a setting that I think we could really use on other systems. The Omnipod 5, which I've been using, only has one setting called activity feature that sets your target to 150 milligrams per deciliter, which is higher than my normal target. But besides that, it doesn't adjust like the insulin delivery I'm getting, and it's only one setting. It's for all types of workouts, but all of us know every workout's different. Intense cardio can make our glucose levels plummet. Do you know with the intense, medium, low intensity, does it change just the target glucose, or does it also have other changes happening?
I think it also have other changes. I'm not pretty sure, but the pump also has like a Zen mode, which you can use to take your target a little bit higher. So I think the exercise mode is different to that. I think it wouldn't make sense to have like 2 different settings which do the same. So I think the exercise mode does something else than just putting up the target.
Okay. And when it comes to bolusing, you mentioned you can set, times you're going to eat. That also, it's not going to just bolus for you, right? Like it sends you a reminder when that's going to happen, right? How does that kind of work?
The reminder comes if you forget to put your meal in, which is pretty cool because sometimes I forget to I don't know, I forget to bolus sometimes. And then the algorithm notices like that your blood sugar is spiking or just goes up, and then it asks you maybe do you have forgotten like to put on meal which you have eaten, and then you can just like do it afterwards, and then the algorithm will take care of it and knows, okay, it was just because of the forgotten meal and not because of something else.
And then high fat meals, there's also a setting here. Tell us a little bit about how that works and when you're using it.
I'm using it like, for example, if I eat pizza or burger or sushi or something like that. And it's the thing is, it only takes care of it for 3 hours. So my problem is that my blood sugar just spikes after 4 hours after I've eaten like a meal with a lot of fat in it. So I can't really use it because I always have to put fake carbs in because it's after 4 hours and not after 3. And I think that's something they could improve so that you can maybe choose between I don't know, 2 to 4 or 5 hours in which it should take care of your fat in the meal.
And there's also a Zen mode. Tell us, how is this Zen?
Yeah, I as I said before, like I think the Zen mode just puts your target higher. So maybe if you're, I don't know, if you're driving, I use it if I drive for a long time, or when I have a presentation or something like that, and I don't want to go low. I think that's also pretty cool. And if you put it on, I think it's active for 2 hours. But I think you can put settings up for it.
Today's episode is sponsored by T1D Exchange. You can directly make an impact on diabetes healthcare, treatments, and technology by participating in the T1D Exchange registry. It starts with a simple survey about your life with T1D, and it only takes about 15 minutes. After that, you'll have a personal portal with ongoing T1D study and survey opportunities. Plus, some of these studies even offer compensation. Signing up with the link in the show notes helps support my channel, and it allows me to continue putting out free content. You can sign up at t1dexchange.org/diabetech or click that link in today's show notes.
How does Kaleido's algorithm respond to changes, whether it be you're sick or a menstrual cycle? Have you found that it's able to learn or adapt to these different situations?
Um, yes, I think it works pretty well, but it could do better, I think. Because as I said before, Cam APS did a bit better than the Diabelu. But there's options that you can like put the aggressivity a little bit higher or lower, and which is pretty cool, and it works well. So I do it if I'm on my menstruation or on the first 2 days of my menstrual cycle. I'm gonna put the aggressivity a little bit higher.
When you're changing the aggressiveness, how does that work? What are the controls or settings that you're able to change?
You can change the percentage. So normal is 100%, and then you can put it up to, I think, 150%. And in the other way, same.
Wow, that's cool. I like that flexibility. So you kind of got into this a little bit when it comes to just like the strength of the algorithm, but is there anything that you think Kaleido needs to do beyond that to make it a more appealing device to people who may be considering it?
Yeah, I think it would be pretty nice to have another tubing option. So I think the 30 centimeters is sometimes a little bit too short to put your pump in your pocket or something. I think 60 centimeters or even longer would be nice for some people. We haven't talked about it, but I think it's very, very important to point that out. If you're filling the reservoir, you have to put in 250 units, and you can only use 200 of it, because I don't know why, but you just can't use the other 50 units. They're just gone. Yeah,
Weird.
it is. I think it's a lot of waste of insulin. I mean, I'm privileged. I live in Germany and I don't have to worry about like the prices or something. But if I think of people, for example, living in the US who have to pay it out of their own pocket, I don't know. I would not choose the Kaleido if I would live there. So I think they can improve this as well. And this is, I think, the most important thing they should do. So they should do it first. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of insulin to leave over. It doesn't sound like this would be the first option for a lot of people if they're, paying for insulin outside of insurance, at least in the US. Is there anything else that you miss from other systems that you used that you're not quite getting on Kaleido?
Yeah. Actually, there's another thing. The cannulas, like the infusion sets, you only have one. So only the soft cannula, and you can choose between like steel or another one. You only have like the length of it. There's 6 millimeters and 9 millimeters, and that's it. I think that would be pretty nice to have like another option, at least one other option.
You moved from a pretty hefty device, the Medtronic, to now this, pretty insulin pump. How has that changed, your social life going out? Do people notice this one more, comment on it more? How do you find that other people are reacting?
I think, especially in summer, people notice it more because it just looks cool and pretty. And I'm wearing it on my arm or on my belly. And if I'm wearing crop tops or something, it just like, I don't know, people just notice it. And I think people also notice my Medtronic because I always put pink stickers on it and stuff like that. But I think the Kaleido is more interesting because you also have like infusions that right next to it, so it looks like a medical thing, but like a pretty medical thing. So I think it just caught attention. Yeah.
Yeah. What about for you? How do you feel wearing this over that heftier device?
I think I always, not always, but the past 5 to 6 years, I was really confident wearing my medical devices. Um, but I don't know. I think it's more special for me to show the Kaleido because it's also not so well known. It just looks better.
Yeah, and you mentioned your confidence in wearing this technology, which not everyone has. And you're on social media, you're posting a lot of content there. Is that where your confidence came from? Where do you remember when it changed from maybe being not as confident to like, taking it and using it as like your superpower?
So I posted a reel about this topic, and I used the song from Taylor Swift where she says, "Fake it till you make it," and I did, and I think that was my thing. I just faked being confident with my medical devices just shown, and then it just came by itself, I think. And now I don't care if people stare at me or if they comment on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice, and that's something that I've done myself too. Well, at least in the tech field, when I wanted to become a tech influencer and tech YouTuber, you start from nothing. You have to convince everyone that you are a trusted source in this area. So I just put out content and approached companies and said, "Hey, I'm Justin Tech. I'm doing a video about this new phone, whatever. Can you send me a review unit?" Whatever. And the more I did it, the more I convinced myself of, oh, I am an authoritative speaker in the space. And the more confident I felt, the more confident the companies felt giving me those devices or giving me access or inviting me to an event. If you want to make something happen, just do it. Talk the talk, walk the walk, and everything else will kind of come
Yeah.
with it. Why is sharing your story so important to you?
So I think it's kind of therapy, like a little bit. And at the beginning,
Absolutely.
yeah, at the beginning I was just think I was posting for myself. So okay, so that people see me and my gadgets and that I have diabetes and that there's a person living with diabetes. And now 4.5 years after I started with Instagram, I'm more like, okay, I do it for myself, but I also do it for others. Because when I was younger, I always wished for someone who understands me and who just have the same struggles as I have. And I think I'm the person for some people out there. And it's just like, I don't know, it just gives me so much that I never want to stop doing it. And yeah, I really love the online community and the people they are supporting me.
What would your advice be to someone who's listening and has been considering sharing their story?
I think the most important thing is to show reality, to not like impersonate something perfect, because living with diabetes is not perfect, and that's what people need, other people need to see and to feel understood. And I think it's pretty important that you don't fake it.
Yeah, that's so true. I get so many messages after I post a terrible day of glucose levels, and people are like, "Thank you for sharing the truth, and you're making me feel less alone because this happens." And and it's important for people like you and I and other people in the space to show when you don't have such great days either, because otherwise we would be presenting ourselves as having these perfect levels, which is not reality. and it's not going to make people feel seen or heard. So whenever I'm having a bad day in the diabetes world, that's when I want to share my story. And like you said, use it as therapy. Like, y'all, I'm having a terrible day. My pump stopped working. I'm in the 300s and this sucks, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you. So yeah, that's so important. Nina, thank you for coming on the show. It was so special to have you here. I'm so glad that we met, and I'm excited to continue our relationship and get to know each other more at these conferences. Are you going to be going to any conferences coming up, or do you have any plans?
I think maybe ADDD in
Okay.
Amsterdam. I think it's in March. So there's time, and
Yes.
yeah, but I'm looking forward because I love these conferences. It's so nice to meet these people and to see all the new technique, and yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun. So I'll see you there. Can you tell everyone listening, where can they find you?
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram, Diabetes Nina, and on TikTok as well. But my TikTok is in German, so if you don't speak German, just go to my Instagram.
Cool. Yeah, I'll put a link to that in the show notes. Nina, thank you so much. This was such a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
What do you think about Kaleido? Let me know your thoughts, or if you're a user, in the comments. And have you ever had a pump that was fashionable like this one? Let me know which one that was. I'd love to hear about it. And to learn more about Kaleido, you can go check out my recent blog post. I went into more detail on how it works, my thoughts on it, different features. You can read that with the link in the show notes to the Diabetech Roundup. And that survey, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear how we can make this podcast better and put up more topics that you find interesting. Thanks for listening to this episode. Thanks for watching this show. I'm Justin, and I'll see you next week.